Nithyananda, everybody, thank you for tuning in. Today I've got a special guest with me here. We have Sri Nithya Ambananda Swami, a priest and Sannyasi of the Nithyananda Sampradaya.
Nithyananda.
Thank you very much for joining me on this session. Today we're about to reveal that Swamiji is releasing to the world one of the best components for free, and that is the Sanskrit and Agamas component, which Amba Swami is here to discuss today. And so I'm really excited. I'm fumbling my words. I've never had this problem. This is a huge opportunity for anybody out there that's interested in learning more about authentic yoga, and more importantly, the 12 components that Swamiji's revealed. Of the 12 components, which include asanas, pranayamas, mudras, bandhas, one of them is chanting. So while we're performing the yoga sequence, we have the authentic pramana being chanted in the background by the tantradhar, the one that is holding the space. And Amba Swami is one of those individuals that is always chanting during some of our sessions. And so why is it so important to have that chanting in the background? What's the purpose of that? Why do you think Swamiji has added that as one of the 12 components?
First thing that always Swamiji says is, yoga is a ritual as per Sanatana Hindu Dharma. First thing, that yoga does have a religion, and it is Hinduism, Sanatana Hindu Dharma. And in the Sanatana Hindu Dharma, it is performing yoga, practicing yoga is a ritual. So in any ritual, we do have the chanting of the mantra or the chanting of the shlokas, the verses from the source scriptures of the Sanatana Hindu Dharma. And so here also in the actual authentic yoga, which is the Nithyananda Yoga, we always do chant the pramana, that is the source verses from which the asanas have been taken. Paramashiva himself, the source of the whole cosmos, Paramashiva himself has revealed all these asanas in the Vedas and Agamas, and there have been many Acharyas in the ancient times, in the earlier times, who have attained enlightenment, who have attained the ultimate state of enlightenment and have made the yogic sciences as their personal reality. And out of their experience also, they did share what they experienced, which is in sync, which is in alignment with the words of Paramashiva. So these words of Paramashiva, we call it Shastra, and the words of these great enlightened beings, we do call it as Apta in the Sanskrit language. As you all may be aware, Sanskrit language is a very ancient language and a very powerful language which can transmit, which can give so much of energy to every being. One important thing, before we enter into why we chant these pramanas, the first thing I told was because it is a ritual, we do chant. In any ritual we chant mantras, and so here also we do chant the pramanas. And number two, in the Sanatana Hindu Dharma, language, bhasha, is not just used to communicate, to convey some meaning, convey some understanding, but also used to transmit energy. The bhasha, Sanskrit, the language Sanskrit, not only has a verbal meaning, but also has a phonetic effect on the human consciousness. Point number two, Swamiji always says, sound, from where it gets created, from the space it gets created. See, some sound, music, from whichever space it gets created, and if you listen to that sound and music, it takes you to the same space. Here, all these pramanas, all these verses, Sanskrit shlokas, verses, have been revealed from the super consciousness of Paramashiva himself and the pure consciousness of all the great enlightened beings. When you listen to these pramanas, these verses from the source, it takes you to the same state and space. This is one of the important things why we chant these pramanas.
And for me, this is an important understanding, like intellectually, because I was very logical in my spiritual growth, and I wanted to understand the science behind spirituality, and I eventually understood that the entire cosmos is vibrating at a certain frequency, whether it's my human body or even this asana that we're sitting on right now. Anything is constantly vibrating at a certain frequency. And when you listen to the Sanskrit pramanas being chanted, when you're chanting them yourselves, it literally brings your own vibration to a higher and higher frequency.
Yes. Usually in all the sessions of the Nithyananda Yoga, there will be a person seated who is technically called a Tantra Dharak, who holds the space of the ritual of yoga. So the Tantra Dharak chants these pramanas as the yogis who perform the yoga, who do the asanas, as they do the asana, the Tantra Dharak chants these pramana. So that by just listening to these pramanas, to these verses from the source scriptures of Sanatana Hindu Dharma, the practitioner of yoga gets the full benefit of yoga, not just bending the body and just flexing the muscles, but also experiences the superconscious energy infusing every day, every asana, the superconscious energy, superconsciousness into his muscle memory and biomemory. But here, Swamiji is providing a beautiful opportunity, a very rare opportunity for the contemporary times. Swamiji is providing an opportunity for everyone to learn these pramanas for your own self. Usually in every Nithyananda Yoga Teachers Training program, we do have this session of learning the pramanas as one of the components of the Nithyananda Yoga Teachers Training. Now, one pillar of the Nithyananda Yoga Teachers Training is completely being offered free. This is something exciting, and you do have an opportunity for yourself to learn these. And next question everybody asks: I do yoga and I do play the audio of this pramanas, which is already there available in the YouTube. Then why should I learn them?
Yeah. So let's say you're somebody that's already following the sequence, the 108 asana sequence online, the Pratama Vinyasa Krama, and you're listening to the audio. What's the point of you being able to understand or chant these pramanas yourself? That's where you're going to cover. Perfect. So that's a big question. Why would they even bother?
See, as I told, the language Sanskrit does not only convey a meaning, but also using that we transmit some energy to somebody. When you get to know the meaning, while you are actually doing the yoga, as a practitioner of yoga, just by playing or listening to the audio, listening to the shlokas, pramanas, then what happens to you is the energy gets transmitted to you, yes. But when you get to know the in-depth meaning of it, you can vibe with what happens to you, what happens to your whole system, what happens to your consciousness, what happens to your being, mind and body completely. When you know anything, because knowledge is power, when you know what happens to you, why this is being done, how the asana functions, when you get to learn the pramanas, what you are left with is that power of that knowledge also gets infused into your system, and more knowledge, more and more the sarvajñatva, the omniscience of Paramashiva gets invoked in you. And second thing, when you learn it, when you practice it by your own self, by learning, your whole brain gets tuned to the very same energy circuit of the brain, cosmic brain of Paramashiva, from which all these pramanas have come out.
That's what Swamiji says. It's all about developing the subtle grooves within your brain to be able to hold that ecstasy, that the rain ecstasy, coming down from the Sahasrara chakra. And so learning these chants and being able to chant to yourself is a way of developing those brain grooves, is what you're saying, right? So again, this is something I've been so blessed to be able to teach and be an Acharya for Nithyananda Yoga teacher trainings. And I can say without a doubt, the most fun and the best classes that all the students rave about is Swami's sessions where he's teaching not only the chanting of each pramana, but also for each asana, but also the ritual of getting into the ritual of yoga. Like if you're new to Nithyananda Yoga and you still want to learn the Sadguru Vandanam or the Achamaniyam or the Sankalpa, he also dives into that as well. And so not only are you just going to get the 108 asanas and understand those pramanas and to be able to chant them yourself, but at the same time, you're going to learn how to enter into the ritual of yoga, which is also something incredible. And so this is something that is free and it's available to the planet Earth right now. And we have one of the great acharyas here of the Nithyananda order, Swami, just waiting to teach you all. So do not miss out on this opportunity. If you're really interested in this and any of it sounds intriguing to you, fill out the form that I'll attach below. And if you're wanting to take your yoga practice to the next level, let's say you're somebody that's seeking authentic yoga, I can tell you right now, you have found it. This is just one component of the 12 components that Swamiji has just revealed to the world. There's a whole other dimension, 11 different dimensions that we can dive into. But if you really dive into this one, you will experience something incredible when it comes to your own personal yoga practice. And so, is there anything else you want to?
And also, what I wanted to add was, in one of the yoga webinars that Swamiji conducted last year in 2018, Swamiji did emphasize everyone to learn the pramanas of all the asanas as per the Sanatana Hindu Dharma. Because when you know from where the asanas come, you are grounded to the tradition and you know you are practicing an authentic version of the yoga. So it is Swamiji, His Divine Holiness, Bhagavan Shri Nithyananda Paramashivam, he himself has encouraged all of us, each and every one of us, to learn the pramanas. And if you are a yoga teacher watching this, if you are new to Nithyananda Yoga, if you have not attended any sessions of the Nithyananda Yoga, you can also learn these pramanas. It is Swamiji is creating an opportunity for everyone in the whole world to learn the basics of yoga and the basics of the roots of the yoga, which is these pramanas, completely free. So if you are an Acharya, if you are a yoga teacher elsewhere in the world, this is also a beautiful opportunity for you to learn something new about yoga itself.
And sign up again, fill out the form below. Do not miss out on this opportunity. It is a complete revelation, first and foremost, that this is now a part of yoga in today's modern world. Because when you think of yoga, the last thing you think of is having somebody chant the pramana in the background. You think of the Western forms of yoga, and they're having somebody in the background get you a new beer or something. And so what a blessing this is. Do not miss out on this opportunity. Swami, thank you very much for coming and sharing your wisdom with us, and looking forward to having these sessions and taking part and enriching the world of all those yogis out there that are craving it. I know there's beings out there that are just waiting to experience authentic yoga. And again, you found it here with Nithyananda Yoga, which is ultimately just the original yoga from the source being revived. Looking forward to having you experience this for yourself. So thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you, Swami, again for having me. Nithyanandam, everybody, and we'll see you on the next video or in our first session of the Sanskrit and Agamas sessions, guided by Swami and ultimately Bhagavan Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam. Nithyanandam, and thank you for tuning in.
Nithyananda.